Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I wanted to focus on one specific body part of the bird for today's video. I was going to start from the top down and then I got a wild hair, so we're going from the bottom up. So today we're doing feet, and it should say that in the title. I'm not trying to like clickbait anyone here. So I'm going to throw some terms out there and talk about some scientific things. You don't have to memorize this. There won't be a quiz later. It's just so you know that there are names for all these things. And when it comes to bird feet, there's an absolute wide variety. So I'll throw up some really cool pictures. I'll link some articles if you want to delve into it. What this eventually boils down to, though, is depending on which bird you're drawing, you could be drawing a very different specific set of feet that vary from day to day to day, if that is a thing that you want to include within your illustrations for drawing birds. Now, maybe you just want to do portraits, maybe you just want to do them in flight, maybe feet aren't your thing, but for those of you that want to capture the entire bird, feet are definitely something to focus on and learn about. Now, when it comes to birds, they are considered what's called digigrade, which means that they walk on their toes. So they don't walk on their entire foot. They walk on their digits. Some birds have 4, some have 3, and they can be arranged a wide variety of ways. So ancedactyl, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. So it's when there's one toe faces backwards and the other 3 digits face forward. And that's a type. There's zygodactyl, and that's 2 facing forward and 2 facing backward with 4 digits total. There's webbed feet for aquatic birds, and there's differentiation between that. So there's palmate feet, which is like 1 backward, and 2 and 3 or 4 are connected by webbing. There's semi-palmate, lobate, total plate. I'll throw up a picture that sort of shows you what these things look like. Raptorial, which is like birds of prey, raptors, and typically they're called talons, and they very sharp nails and they're large. They have specific feet. There's other feet. Pamprodactyl, this is like 4 digits facing forward. Some could be rotated backwards. Swifts are the birds this is found in. There's heterodactyl. These are 2 forward, 2 backward, but instead the 1 and 2 are backward and the 3 and 4 are forward. So this is found in like trogons. Synecdactyl, this is found in kingfishers. Digit 2 and 3 are fused together, and digit 1 is small and backwards. Bet you didn't know there was this much about bird feet. Tridactyl, 3 digits. 1's missing. So that's emus, northern 3-toed woodpecker, quails, things like that. When it comes to anatomy of birds, it's very, very fascinating. So when you look at an emu foot, I really liked this illustration. It's like two huge toes. So when drawing that, I want to make sure this is on the page. Oh, this is an ostrich. I apologize. Ostrich. When you're looking at how this works, and I am doing a Tombow pen just because I want people to be able to see this. I worry sometimes if you're like watching this late at night and your eyes are tired that it could be really difficult to make out some of my illustrations, and I don't want to exclude anyone from the conversation just because eyesight can be a different thing for everyone. But like ostrich is very, very different than, say, drawing an osprey, which is, you know, a bird of prey. And I'll throw up a picture that has other ones. They're very, very similar. So if you are just trying to learn and break down feet, and that's something you want to get into and figure out before you work on color. We can do color in this video too, I don't mind. Trying to color match some of these guys and understand what this looks like. I'm just drawing from this illustration. This is my quick rendition of an osprey foot, and then here it looks like it gets into scales, okay? And I would denote that and make some notes and understand the differences between the two. Now, when it comes to like webbed foot, webbed birds, like if you're doing ducks, things like that, you're going to get into what looks like, I think about veining in leaves. Looks like things like this. I will throw up a picture for this, and then it's, you know, it's webbed. And then they got teeny tiny, they've had their nails done, but it's very tiny and small, okay? And then this could be something that also has scales or some sort of patterning of the leg as it starts to go up. So water birds, think in terms of things like this. When you're trying to, I'll throw up a huge one of tons of different feet. What swimming birds look like versus climbing birds versus grabbing birds versus resting birds, okay? Like if you are just doing a songbird and it's carved around a tree, and here's the branch, right, of the tree. We'll just make it look very log shape. These things tend to arch and carve around with the nails. When it comes to reference photos, you're going to have to look up individually. So if you are doing a kingfisher, if that's the bird you want to do, then you're going to have to look up kingfisher feet and find a reference photo that really singles out and examines and looks at that. Just because running feet versus perching, grasping, scratching, climbing, the shape of the foot varies so differently. These are all bird feet. These are all so incredibly different. It's such a wide variety, especially when trying to figure out, like I'll throw up a cassowary foot. Like that foot's legitimate. That is a crazy looking foot. It's very, very specific. I'll throw up another picture of what that looks like on the ground. It looks prehistoric. It looks more like something you would see for a dinosaur. So when I pull up a picture, let me find one here. Okay, so I went on Pixabay, which is a royalty-free photography site, and I just like to get photos there for references. And I typed in bird feet, and I got a really good one. I got some really, really good ones. I have a parrot holding up its foot. It is very much shaped. It is the four. This one looks like it's arching this way almost, and then you can just see it's the underside of the claw on these, which if you've ever wondered if the underside looks, you know, quite like the overside. And I'm just trying to figure out the direction in which this goes. It's kind of like drawing, like you go to draw a starfish and you screwed up. That's what drawing bird feet is like. And understanding that bird feet just, they vary depending on what you're drawing. So this is all grays. When I look at this foot and I go to color match this, this is definitely cool grays. It's just a lot of gray, and the nails obviously have black, and there could be, depending on what resolution you choose to download this one from. This is from Herman. Thank you, Herman, for this photo. It looks fantastic. Blue-footed booby. So this is a bird from the Galapagos Islands, and I'm not sure who took this. 12019 took this photo. Thank you. So they have a beautiful blue foot that's webbed. There's also the red-footed and the yellow-footed booby. But this is very much a web situation. But if you want to practice color matching and you want to work with some unique things, these birds have lovely, unique feet that are a ton of fun for practicing on. So, and then figuring out the texture and some of the lines and the creases with some of this for drawing their feet. Beautiful little feet. I'll include these photos and links if you want to do up close. I'm not sure what this is a picture of. Let me check and see what I have here. This looks like some sort of goose. It has a very, very pink foot. One is on the ground, so it's foreshortened, and one is raised up in the air. So the one raised up in the air, and again, I'm doing this in pen. This is very slapdash, but if you want to take a pencil, if you want to try and figure out accurate proportions to try and make sense of what some of this actually looks like for the bird, and this almost is like a finger where it has like knuckles that get rounder and bigger. I am encroaching on my other illustrations, but that's all right. We know I mean well. Okay. It's just a very unique bulbous shape. And then matching this very salmon pink color. Get out whatever medium you're using, if it's paints, if it's pens, if it's colored pencils. Let me figure out how I would try and color match this. It looks very, what is this? This is pomage red. Again, I am drawing on really ivory colored paper, but that is the color to me. So, and then with the pads of the feet, I am seeing grays and browns. Let's see, what would I grab? I would grab a gray. And then I would definitely grab, is it this guy? This guy's all right. Who's he? Might include some of him. Ooh, some of these don't have the names on them anymore, and I apologize. Burnt ochre. And I would try a combination of going really, really lightly and adding some of the gray bits and overlapping and layering. This is where getting to know, here, let me zoom in real quick. All right, so we are zoomed in on that foot a little bit better. This is where I talk about like practice and getting to know your art supplies and figuring out how they layer and what that looks like. The only way to get good at drawing, at understanding color matching, at understanding shape and form and some of this stuff, that's kind of what it looks like to me. Like it looks very gray, it looks very dirty, kind of grungy. I don't really know where this bird has been stepping, but it doesn't wear shoes, so this is a reflection of that. It's all through practice. You have to practice. If you never put your art supplies to paper, to canvas, to a surface of any form or kind, you're never going to learn how to draw this stuff, to figure out what color looks like what, to make it match what it looks like in real life, and understanding some of this stuff, okay? And you could practice. You could practice making little swatches on the page. You can even write down the names of the colors you used, understand how many layers to create a certain effect, to get that to start matching and looking like what it should look like. Now, for the foot, I'm going to try and move this around. Create some space here if I can. For the foot that's foreshortened on the right hand side, again, I want you to be able to see this. I'm going to start right where the white stops, where the feathers, where the thigh is, and it comes down, then it keeps going straight. Am I too zoomed in? It's always such a thing here. It starts to go out, and this is where the reference photo starts to fail me. Understand the strengths and weaknesses of the reference photos you are using, especially if this isn't a bird you've ever drawn before, or it's a bird you've never seen before. It is okay to use reference photos. this is what I see. I don't see the tip of that foot. I see the one toe that's coming backwards. I am arcing, I am making room for that toenail. And then I am seeing the other toe come out. But again, that other foot is coming down. It is covering that. I am losing information. I know there's two toes here. I know there is. But you can't see them because of that foot coming down. So is this the best reference photo for learning how to draw goose feet when they're walking away? No, it's not. This is a really good reference photo for understanding what color the foot looks like, the upper foot, when the body is hanging over it, and this is in shadow. This is a richer, darker color than this. This is too light. This would be the foot in sun. Okay, but you need a darker color for this in shadow. I'm trying to think if I have a color that works. I might have to mix a couple. This is dark red. I would start with a layer of dark red. So understand what the reference photos can and can't give you when it comes in terms of, and then I would layer this on top. And then I would get a color that looks similar to that one in shade. And again, this is just Pomeranian red. I don't know. Okay. It needs to be darker. It's in shadow. And if it's not giving me enough layers of darkness, I can keep going a little bit more with the red. I'm not muddying it. It's just two colors that I am toggling and overlapping. Okay. And understanding what that looks like. There's like veins and things in here and lines and texture. So a lot of birds have folds, they have wrinkles, they have textures in their feet. Let's look at some other pictures. Let's say, for example, you're drawing a blue jay, and I found a really cool photo of one on Pixabay. And this one is in flight and it's about ready to probably, I guess, grab a hold of a branch. Smaller songbirds don't have the talons for gripping and holding large animals and flying away. So basically they just curve around and grab something spherical and then hold on tight. So if somebody says, hey, could you draw this for me? I want a blue jay. And you're looking at the reference photo and it's in flight and everything's fine. Figuring out shape and size. Let's see, let me get this onto my thing here. Let me download it. Sorry about that. Lots of downloads, that's what I say. Okay. So we zoom in on the feet. Keep in mind, if feet is something that you feel is a weakness of yours and it's something you want to work on, you need to strategically pick the feet of birds that you draw. So if you don't draw flightless birds, do not bother with the prehistoric toe-like deals that they deal with. That's not a thing you need to focus on. If you primarily draw songbirds and flight birds and little mid-sized birds that you could hold in your hand, those are what you need to focus on. You can go on your favorite search engine, you can go on royalty-free sites and really start to break down what those shapes look like, where the arches are, where the toes are, how many they have, which direction they're going in. This is all things to be cognizant of. If you can't tell in your reference photo because things are blocked over, look up certain pieces, parts of that bird separately, just so you can get an idea of what's missing from the photo. And that can help your brain more accurately draw and recreate what it is you're trying to draw. Because it's like, okay, this part of the foot is missing. Don't forget that that part of the foot exists. And your mind's eye will be like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. And then we get to the fluffy feather portion. Now, in looking at this, I see like weird black scale situations here. There's something here. There's things along here. Like this is very much pen and ink. Trying to leave a little white in the nail is good, like a little nail highlight. Always helps add a sense of depth to what you're drawing. You can touch it back up with white ink. You could do, I don't know, acrylic paint, gouache could help you. Again, I am doing this with pen and ink. I am kind of stippling. I want to create the texture, but the whole thing is not black. So understanding that certain parts are, and then down here where the shadow is, this is part of the shadow because it's under. Okay. Understanding what this looks like for a blue jay. Okay. And then this is like the white fuzz before it gets into the undercarriage type fur that's a darker color. This is what this foot looks like. Now, is this too much detail? Keep in mind, okay, this is the size of my hand. So if the foot is this big, the illustration you're drawing is on, I don't know, an A3. It's 11 by 14, 16 by 20. You're getting into huge illustration things. So is this level of detail necessary? Probably not. And when you shrink it and you go to draw it tiny, you may not even get all that detail. It may be lost. Do you see what I'm saying? Like some of this just isn't seen, so it's not the most important portion of information. Again, it's what you choose to show and highlight. Like what's the important part of the bird here? Yes, it's grabbing. We want to denote that it's reaching out and trying to probably grab a branch. It's not going for a mouse or anything. It's not doing that. Okay, this is the bird. But knowing the direction, first, how many digits it has, what direction those digits are going, what that looks like up close. So when you zoom out, when you think about drawing that bird, you can remember, right, blue jays, 4 digits, 3 front, 1 back. You go to draw it on a branch. One, you don't draw the branch first. You draw the foot. And it's carved around the branch. And you know one's going back, okay? You may not be able to see the claws, but you know there's 3 front and you know there's 1 back. That is the accurate portrayal of what a blue jay has. So keep in mind as you go through, and if you're drawing birds every day like me, or you plan on drawing birds in the future, or you own one, you're commissioned to draw one, something fun like that, really check out what's going on with the digit situation, because it really is specific to each bird. I hope this helped a little bit. I will link some articles that go more in depth with more names and more titles. It is very much a look up individual situation. So you type in kingfisher, you look up a kingfisher. You type kingfisher foot to make sure you know how many digits, the directions, what's that about. So if you don't want to draw from reference, you still have the knowledge within your brain, within the catalog of information in your mind, what it accurately looks like versus a duck, versus a pelican, versus a toucan, versus all these other different types of birds and what their feet looks like. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.